The Blue Jackets win a game. Patrik Laine wins some face-offs. Cleveland wins a new start player, and there's a new guy in town. We're talking about all of that and more on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to bring you news, stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms. We're over on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to get new episodes every day. I mean, the episodes will still happen if you don't hit subscribe, but you will know about them when they do happen if you do hit subscribe. So that's the win for you. It's the win for me. It's the win for everybody. Today, we got a lot to talk about. Some players are back, some players are going elsewhere, and some players are brand new. So I thought let's get into the game against the Capitals, which was sure was a time. It was. Honestly, I didn't hate it. Fun to win. Fun to make sure that the Capitals get a pity point instead of the full 2 points. The sweet spot for the Capitals for me is putting them between the playoffs and the draft lottery. So they don't have a chance of Bedard, but also they don't make the playoffs. Like that's where we want the Capitals and we want the Penguins to end up. So good job, team, for ensuring that. But for the most part, like I said, it was a fun game. I don't know that it was an especially good game for defense, goaltending. It was a pretty good game offensively. I believe 7 players had multi-point games, so that was fun. But beyond that, it was kind of a mess. Blue Jackets win 7-6. Goals from Eric Robinson, Adam Boqvist, Jack Roslovic, Adam Boqvist again, Boone Jenner, and Jack Roslovic in overtime, and Emil Bemstrom. I missed out there. Good to see a lot of those guys get on the board. I thought it was good to see some comeback ability from the Blue Jackets. They went down 3-0 in the first period, and then it was 5-3 by the end of the second period. And the Blue Jackets scored 3 times in the third period to overcome a deficit. It was 5-4, 5-5, 6-5, finally 6-6 with 47 seconds left in regulation. And then Jack Roslovic scores in overtime to get the extra point. Gaudreau and Laine didn't score, but they each had 2 assists. Peterson with an assist, Olivier with an assist, Kent Johnson with 2 assists, and Nick Blankenburg with an assist as well. So lots of players on the score sheet, which is really, really good to see. Everyone kind of doing their bit. Face-offs. Hysterically, Patrik Laine was the team leader in face-offs with 56%. Cole Sillinger followed with 53%. Boone Jenner at 40, Peterson at 25. Jack Roslovic didn't take any face-offs in that game. I guess he's on the wing now. I didn't hate that line. It's Kent Johnson, Boone Jenner, and Jack Roslovic, so 3 centers on one line, I guess. But I didn't hate that line. The top line continues to impress. I think Patrik Laine, again, is doing well in the center position, or well enough that he's not actively hurting the team. I don't think the possession was as strong as it was in the loss to Vegas, but again, he had 2 assists on the night. Won, I think, 5 out of 9 faceoffs, which is, a big improvement from winning 3 of 17 the previous night. got some power play time, was a +2 on the night, which, I mean, +2 is basically meaningless at this point, but I'm calling this experiment a success. In terms of players that are coming back, though, Sean Corrali is playing tomorrow night, which might bump Laine back to wing. On the flip side, Cole Sillinger has been sent down to Cleveland. We'll talk about those moves in a minute. And also, Elvis Merzlikins has returned. This has nothing to do with the forward lines or the center depth, but likely he will be playing the bulk of the games. Neil Tarasov back down to Cleveland, which is probably for the best. Helps them with their playoff push. Means that he doesn't get shelled in every single game that he plays. He faced 37 shots and made 31 saves against the Capitals, which is fine. Again, I've seen a lot of people being like, man, I don't know if Tarasov's the future. He's in his rookie season getting shelled because the defense is like Eric Branson and 5 players under the age of 25, like it is what it is. I feel like I've said that a whole lot this season, but it's true. One more thing in terms of the game, the power play scored on its only attempt. Since January 24th, I believe the Blue Jackets have the hottest power play in the league, which is a very strange thing to think about. And I bet we could find out where they are in the league if I flip to tomorrow's game, which is, I believe, against the Islanders. So the Blue Jackets have kind of been hovering around about 29th in the league. They have bumped up to 25th in the league in terms of power play, which is honestly pretty neat. I'm enjoying that a lot. I don't think it's helping. I don't think it's hurting the tank, but I also don't think it's super helping it as well. I'm just excited that they're scoring goals with the man advantage. I don't know what's changed, but I'm enjoying it greatly. So all in all, pretty good game. Great to see a win, especially against a division rival. Great to snap the losing streak. Great to see all those players appear on the score sheet. Johnny Gaudreau continues his season. He's now at 65 points in 68 games. And Patrik Laine is at 52 points in 55 games. So if those players keep producing, a couple of 2-point nights every so often, they've only got, I believe, 12 games left in the season. But that is plenty of time for them to hit points per game for both players, which I think will be very exciting. In a minute, we're going to talk a little bit about the players being added, the players being subtracted. We'll take a quick look ahead to the Islanders. That's coming up in just a minute. But first, I've got to tell you all about FanDuel because it's America's #1 sportsbook. The March Madness is going nuts. And the Sweet 16 starts soon. Baseball is back soon. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. Right now, they're giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That means that if you don't win on your first bet, you will get that money back in bonus bets up to $1,000. So if you want to put $1,000 on, for example, Auburn University winning March Madness, and they don't do that, then you will get that $1,000 back to bet again, which is pretty rad. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, sign up today to claim your no sweat first bet. You can wager on everything from money line to point scorers to which teams are going to be winning, losing, triple doubles, hat tricks, all of that, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Now, we have to talk about Cole Sillinger. He's the main one. So Sean Corrali is back from injury. Elvis Merzlikins has returned from personal leave. His grandmother passed away, so he went home to Latvia. He is back. But the most interesting moving around piece for me is Cole Sillinger, who has been loaned to the Cleveland Monsters. He was moved down in a paper transaction on deadline day, which means he is eligible to play in the Calder Cup playoffs should the Monsters make it there. Now, can the Monsters make it there? They have been in the mix basically for the last 2 months. They've been 2 points out of a playoff spot or less. Sometimes they've been in the playoff spot. They had a big win over the Grand Rapids Griffins most recently, and they are coming into a tough weekend stretch. They are once again 2 points out of playoffs with 3 games in hand over 6 and 7. That's Laval and Belleville. They're going into a tough stretch of playing the Toronto Marlies this weekend, which is going to be a big test. The Marlies are a real good team. They've basically clinched the North Division with like 20 points more than the next nearest player. So they're a very good team. They're playing tonight or Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday they have another game, which is against the Rochester Americans, who are, I believe, 3rd in the division. So, like I said, big weekend test. The most recent win was against Belleville, not Grand Rapids, but they do have 3 wins in their last 5, plus an overtime loss. So they are gaining points. They just need to gain points a little faster than Belleville or Laval is. Like I said, they've still got 3 games in hand, but adding Cole Sillinger to the mix with a team that already has, guys like Travis Wolanski, that has guys like David Jiricek, that has guys like Owen Sillinger, his brother. Josh Dunn is coming up in terms of points. Owen Sillinger continues his strong rookie season of 30 points in 59 games, but I think, honestly, put Travis Wolanski, Cole Sillinger together and just watch them go in the Monsters, I think is going to be real fun. I am excited for Travis Wolanski to assist on basically every Cole Sillinger goal, and that could be the turning point for this team, honestly. I think it is a crying shame what has happened to Cole Sillinger this season through mismanagement, through lack of development, through inconsistent play, line mates, etc. And, on the back of such a good rookie season from him, I think we were all expecting a little bit of a step back, but not one at this level. So it's disappointing, sure, but it could be worse. And like I said, it sucks. And I'm glad that he's going down to the Monsters to play he is probably one of the best players on the Monsters now, just by pure skill. And I think putting him in a position to succeed, to build some confidence, and this is something we talked about earlier in the season with Hadi Kalakeche of Locked On NHL Prospect, of he's a player that needs to build some confidence. I think his confidence has been shaken by what's happened this season, and putting him into a much better than last season Monsters team to succeed, I think is going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll give him the chance to get his groove back. I think it'll help the Monsters out. And honestly, the Monsters are going to be really fun to watch down the stretch as they battle for the playoffs. So I'm sad that Cole Sillinger hasn't been able to stick at the NHL level this season. But again, I don't think that's his fault. I think that's the fault of many other factors. And hopefully this gives him a boost and he comes back next season bigger, better, stronger, and ready to score a bunch of goals. In a minute, we are going to check in with Hadi Kalakeche, actually. Speaking of, we're going to talk about the newest Monster in town, or the newest Blue Jacket in town, excuse me. They have signed Hunter McKown from Colorado College, born and raised in San Jose, California, which is very fun. We love when a player is from a small market. And big center, was 7th in the league in goals last season, or this season, for Colorado College. And so I figured I would get Hadi to talk a little bit about him. So that's what's coming up next after I tell you all about Indeed. Because no matter how the last game went, anytime you take the field, you've got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best shot at winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed. If you're hiring, you need Indeed because they are the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. It's the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all, and that is Indeed. They partner with you on every step of the hiring process. They've got time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/locked-on. Offer is valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/locked-on to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/locked-on. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. And I want to kind of finish up by talking a little bit about the newest Blue Jacket. So it's college free agent season. The Blue Jackets have done pretty well with signing some guys like that over the last couple of years. I mean, I look at Nick Blankenberg specifically, who was a college free agent signing. Eric Robinson is a college free agent signing. And this year they've decided to pick up a guy from Colorado College in Hunter McKown. What can you tell me about McKown's game?
Yeah, so McKown's a guy who I didn't get a chance to watch a lot. I've caught maybe 3 or 4 games by watching other teams, and he's always stood out for me for Colorado College. He's our assistant captain, 28 points in 38 games, including 21 goals. But that's a lie, honestly. His goal scoring is not his best asset, and I don't understand these metrics. Every time I've watched him, I've been a lot more impressed with his playmaking than his shot, and I think it's just the offensive spacing and positioning that's getting him in such favorable positions to get a shot off. Because the shot's about average, maybe slightly above average, but his playmaking is what really makes him good. He's also really responsible defensively. I've seen him disrupt a couple plays in his own zone. Always pretty much have his stick in the right position. That's why they kind of signed him so quick. He's 20 years old. He's going to be making his NHL debut soon. There's a reason for that. It's because he's got a kind of a pro baseline, and I wasn't surprised to see an NHL team pick him up. I just don't see him really becoming much other than maybe a depth piece, at best a third line player. A guy who's going to chip in defensively, maybe play on your penalty kill, your second wave, that kind of thing. But I wouldn't expect, a top 6 player out of Hunter McKown. That's not his type, unless he shows much improvement. Because obviously, like I said, he's 20. He's very young. A lot of runway ahead of him, and after what the Blue Jackets did with Nick Blankenberg the other year, I mean, I trust him to make good decisions coming out of the NCAA. They've had a good track record with that. But from what I've seen from McKown, really good defensively, decent playmaking, but nothing that's going to take you out of your seat every game. Not that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a lot of people get excited or they either get really excited or really kind of discouraged by these free agent signings of like, why are we bothering to pick this guy up? Obviously, if he was any good, he would have been drafted 3 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Or they're like, oh, this guy's going to change the team. He's going to tip the Blue Jackets over the edge. And I feel like it's important to kind of temper your expectations with college free agents. But like I said, the Blue Jackets have had a pretty good track record. Like, again, Nick Blankenberg, like if I start talking about him now, then we'll be here this time tomorrow. I love him.
Yeah,
phenomenal player. And I hope he's on the Blue Jackets for a very long time to come. But if the best that they get out of Hunter McKown is, like you say, a bottom 6 center that can play on the penalty kill, that can add maybe, if you can get maybe 40 points a season out of a guy like McKown, like that feels like a win to me.
Yeah, you're laughing. It's a free player. And here's the thing is that when fans are concerned about the fact that a player wasn't drafted, I like to remind them the amount of players that have had Hall of Fame careers that weren't drafted. Marty St. Louis, Dan Boyle, the list goes on and on. I think Mark Giordano wasn't drafted as well. There's a long list of players who've had amazing careers and that weren't drafted. Getting drafted just means that you were good young. It doesn't mean, a lot of players are late bloomers. A lot of players don't hit their ceiling until they're 26, 27. I've seen players like this year, Alex Belzile for the Habs. He's 30 and he's having a really good season in the bottom 6 for the Habs. And some players bloom late. Some players spend 3, 4, 5 years in the ECHL before they even see a glimpse of the AHL, let alone the NHL. the road to the NHL is full of detours and is multi-directional. So I wouldn't worry too much about the draft status of a player. That's not something I'd be concerned with.
Yeah, for sure. Well, he's making his NHL debut tomorrow night against the Islanders. So I'm gonna be paying attention to him. I'm gonna be really excited to see. I don't know that he's gonna have like a Austin Matthews type NHL debut, but
I'd be
who
very
does?
surprised. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how he plays, especially on a team where I see a lot of people being like, well, why is he making his NHL debut? Why not send him to the Monsters? I'm like, well, why not see what you've got?
Yeah.
There's 12 games left
And
in the
this season,
I believe.
yeah,
Why not
and
just...
in this season especially, like, what do you have to lose? Might as well
Yeah,
try him out, see if he works out in the
exactly.
NHL.
If you
Yeah.
find a gem, then you win. If not, he goes down to the AHL next season and adds to what's slowly becoming a pretty strong core for the AHL Blue Jackets,
Yep.
the Monsters. I forgot the name of the team. It's fine. But yeah, I'm super excited for Hunter McKown. I'm super excited for the draft. We're gonna keep going with our draft profiles, our draft coverage. If people want to learn more about scouting, want to learn more about the prospects that we've talked about, where can they find you and your content?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. It's the one-stop shop. Everything I do, I post there. It's Hadi K_scouting on Twitter. You can follow the podcast as well, Locked On NHL Prospects on Twitter at LO_NHL Prospects on Twitter as well. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you get your podcast. We're there. I've got my own YouTube channel where I post some videos from prospects from time to time, just breaking down their games. I also do some articles for Habs Eyes on the Prize, and I'm the QMJHL scout for Dobber Prospects. So my work's pretty much all over the place, but you can find it all on Twitter, at my personal Twitter account, even the podcasts I post there. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I am going to personally endorse Hadi. I think his work is great. I think you should all go and check out his prospect stuff, because it's one of my first stops when I'm like, hey, there's a new guy that people are paying a lot of attention to. Let's see what Hadi thinks.
Much
So
appreciated.
you should all do the same. And thanks for stopping by. Thanks for giving me some thoughts and more things to think about with regards to what the Blue Jackets should do with their first round picks coming up.
Of course.
And that's all I've got for today. Tomorrow we'll be doing another prospect profile, and then we will be back on Monday to talk about this weekend's games, the Islanders and the Canadiens. But thank you for listening. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day every day. Locked On Blue Jackets continues to be free and available on all podcast platforms. We're over on YouTube, wherever you can think to find us, that's where we are. If you hit subscribe, I would super appreciate it. You get notified when new episodes go live. It's a win for you. It's a win for me. And I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the podcast at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.